I, 39 meters, think my wife, 40 feet, had an affair with a coworker. I'm out of sorts and quarantine is going awful now. About 2 weeks ago, I started putting together the pieces that made me feel sick. After I began unpacking what I had learned and discovered all of this, my life seemed pointless and wasted. We got married young, 20 years old to be exact. Our daughter was the motivation for us to marry quickly, but we were friends of friends in high school and ended up at the same college a few cities away. We exclusively dated in our first year, and the next year she got pregnant, we married, and life was pretty normal and consistent for us. My wife has a heart of gold and has worked in donor relations for a global nonprofit organization for over 15 years, and I've been in sales, technology engineering for almost the same amount of time. Our daughter moved away last year to attend college in Europe and is very motivated, determined, and independent. My wife's parents live an hour away from her UN. Around October 2019, my wife started traveling out of town for a few nights here and there to supposedly go to San Francisco, Sacramento, and Las Vegas for work events and donor engagement meetings. It was twice a month, like clockwork, on the second and fourth Thursday, and she would come back on Sundays. Fast forward to this Friday when I see some strange things. We had been cleaning here and there during some of the downtime from staying at home. I opened a box and found credit card statements in the office area for a Discover Card Docs account. Since we were married, it was a joint account and shared banking and things like that. I looked at the receipts and realized they were all for hotels in our local areas during the time she was supposed to be out of town. I couldn't believe what I was seeing at first and tried to rationalize the charges, but they were detailed enough to show Hotel X, City X. My wife went pale and immediately panicked and acted more bizarrely than I've ever seen her act. Always confident and well-spoken, she was mumbling, stammering, and making nonsensical comments. Then I was told I was violating her office and had no right to go through her things. But the day before, she went through my office, boxes and bins of old computer parts and disks, and organized them without me. She's never one to yell or cry much, but she was doing both, and I left. I slept in my car in my brother's garage that night. I came home the next day, and she refused to speak to me or acknowledge me, locking herself in her office. I felt like the biggest loser in the world and was so angry, but also so confused because she never admitted it. I started doubting that she wasn't having an affair and that I had just made it all up. I thought maybe she was mad because I accused her of something she didn't do. I'm sure I was staring at the wall for 12 hours straight. My wife, following her actions, pissed me off. She sent me an email with the truth. I freaked out. I was crying, depressed, and feeling like a failure in life. How didn't I know? What did I do to deserve this? Was I such a bad husband? Her sending me an email and not talking to me made me realize she was a different person I couldn't stay with, and I didn't want anything more. Basically, a coworker hit on her and she kissed him in the office, and the next day they started sleeping together and having multi-day affairs. This went on from October to January. She broke up with the guy because he wanted a threesome and other things with multiple people, and she didn't. The details were unimaginable and meaningless to me, and it made things worse. We had our first conversation a few days ago, and she said she was already prepared for the divorce and expected me to ask for it if I hadn't already. Putting quarantine aside, these have been the worst 2 weeks of my life, and having to talk to my daughter without crying or telling her has been hard. Should I move out? It's so painful to be stuck here. Am I wrong to worry about my wife and how she'll continue after we separate? I hate what she did, but I still love her in some way. These are emotional feelings I never imagined, and they are so devastating. Your wife would have continued with her physical affair up until now if the guy hadn't insisted on a menage a trois and other perverted things. This tells us that perverted intimacy was more important to the affair partner than your wife. So, is she going to go back to her perverted lover and agree to the perverted intimacy? She should leave the house, not you. She'll probably find a less perverted lover and move on.
Don't move out. Don't do anything until you speak to a lawyer for at least an initial consultation. You need to protect yourself before doing anything else. I promise you that your wife didn't cheat on you because you were a bad husband. Your wife didn't cheat on you because you weren't good enough. She didn't cheat on you because the other guy was better than you. In fact, most people cheat. She didn't cheat on you because you're worthless. She didn't cheat on you because of you. She cheated because she wanted to. She cheated because she's selfish. She cheated because she didn't care about you or your feelings, because she selfishly wanted to cheat more than she cared about you. You really need to understand this because it's vital information you need to accept in order to know how to move forward. You can't expect her to do what's right for you unless it also benefits her. You can't go into a divorce thinking that she'll care about you when it comes to getting what she wants. You can't move forward depending on her character not to screw you over if she can. Doing any of these things would make you a giant fool. That's why I'm telling you to go to a lawyer now. Get a game plan with your lawyer and don't do anything else until you've done that. If you don't protect yourself, you're setting yourself up for a prolonged world of misery that will be even worse than the misery you're feeling now, and it will last even longer.